And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First day of the weekend, flying weather graphic here, Saturday morning. IFR, southwest interior, down into northern Bristol Bay. Another area here up along the Kenai Peninsula there into Prince William Sound. Otherwise, mostly marginal VFR, Bering Sea and the Aleutians, Seward Peninsula here across the northern interior, on out to the Arctic coast. And marginal from Kodiak Island all the way across the Gulf there in over most of the Panhandle. For the afternoon, some good improvement here over at least the northern half of the southeast coast, and even along the coastal areas there, Prince of Wales Island becoming VFR. IFR here, Prince William Sound. IFR along and south and on the eastern slopes of the Alaska Range, but VFR for Cook Inlet, the Sitna Valley, western Kenai Peninsula. Then a band of IFR here along the Brooks Range, cutting across the northern Koyukuk Valley southwestward there. Kotzebue across the Seward Peninsula, Nome southward along the Yukon Delta. And then the storm coming northward here, pushing a band of IFR up into the eastern Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula, just about ready to slide up to Kodiak Island. And we'll see for Sunday morning, that continues to advance northward as a strong low pressure area passes over the Alaska Peninsula here and starts to move into the southeastern Bering Sea. So a lot of IFR associated with that. IFR up here over the Seward Peninsula, in across again Kotzebue, and right up to the southern slopes of the western Brooks Range. Otherwise, some pretty good conditions there. Kuskokwim Valley on up into the central interior there, north of the Alaska Range. South of the range, though, mostly marginal VFR, right on down to the North Gulf Coast. Southeast coast, completely VFR, at least forecast to be for Sunday morning. And then for Sunday afternoon, marginal VFR slides back in over the Panhandle, and a kind of a sharp edge of IFR here over the Gulf of Alaska, back into Prince William Sound, North Gulf Coast, along the Alaska Range as well, some IFR, and back to the west there, quite a zone of IFR again with that storm system coming into the southeast Bering Sea, banking up along the Alaska Peninsula there, east side of Kodiak Island, but quite an area here over the from the southern Norton Sound area back in toward the Pribilofs and then southward over the eastern Aleutians. Passes Anatuvik and Adigan, mostly IFR through the day tomorrow. And Lake Clark and Merrill showing some gradual improvement, hopefully to marginal VFR, maybe better in the afternoon. Rainy, same trend, slow improvement throughout the day. And windy may become VFR in the afternoon hours after starting out marginal. And for Isabel, IFR becoming VFR, and improvement also from Antasta, marginal VFR toward VFR conditions. Tanita, occasional marginal VFR. Portage, mostly IFR. And for Chilkoot and White, VFR. For the freezing levels here, 2,000 feet, Kodiak Island to the southern Kenai Peninsula, and across the northern part of the Panhandle, 4,000 feet now down in toward Dixon Entrance and southward. And 2,000 feet here is trying to creep back northward here as that storm system pulls up from the south there, but still south of the eastern Aleutians tomorrow morning, but that'll probably lift north of there in the afternoon. And with that will be considerable moderate rime icing associated with that system coming northward to about Atka Island, spreading across the eastern Aleutians to the western Alaska Peninsula. That's the most significant area of icing tomorrow. Lesser chances here over the interior, central interior, and pretty good for the southeast coast, icing free. And for the jet stream here, we've got south to north flow here, 75 knots Aleutians taking a turn to the east, picking up to about 95 knots as it comes in toward the Kuskokwim Delta area, and then back to the northwest, 80 knots across Kodiak Island and well south of the Panhandle. And at 9,000 feet, looking at some southeast winds here, head of this low center at about, or south to southeast, anywhere from 30 to 40 knots or 20 to 40 knots there. Strongest there over Norton Sound and toward the south coast of the Seward Peninsula. East-southeast 30 knots, Kodiak Island, and increasing winds, strongest winds still south of the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, but again, this whole area coming northward. And then for 3,000 feet, we've got, again, this area of strong wind shows up much better here, up to 50 knots there for the Alaska Peninsula as that front comes northward. and east 50 knots over toward Atka Island, but much lighter here to the north. Interior Alaska, very light wind conditions, as well as the Gulf, Panhandle. But some easterlies there, 30 knots, picking up to 50 knots along the eastern Arctic coast. Turbulence with those winds, considerable moderate turbulence there for the eastern Arctic coast, mostly from Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, up around Point Lay area. Also Prince William Sound, could see some considerable moderate turbulence there, as well as the southern Panhandle. Main area here with the system coming up will be the Aleutian Chain from about to the western Alaska Peninsula on out to Amchitka Island.